Hello. Besides all the mainline Pokémon games, I've always found myself quite entertained by the spin-off series like the Mystery Dungeon series and the Pokémon Rangers series. I remember sinking countless hours on these games as a child, fascinated at the things the Pokémon franchise could come up with. One spin-off game that I did not get the chance to play was Pokémon Conquest, which was a bit odd for me, since while I was growing up, I was a big fan of Tecmo Koei's games too. Playing the Dynasty and Samurai Warriors games were a big part of my childhood as well. So, for the first time ever, I decided to play Pokémon Conquest and had this question in mind. Pokémon Conquest can't be that good, right? In this video, we'll be covering the main story of Pokémon Conquest and the game mechanisms that come with it. In Pokémon Conquest, we play as a young warlord who we get to choose at the beginning. Naturally, we named our hero Fool. The region of Ransei has 17 kingdoms, and we were just newly appointed to govern the kingdom of Aurora. Shortly after our ascendance, however, we were invaded by the neighboring kingdom, Ignis. It was here that we were introduced to the gameplay and battle system, where our army and the enemies take turns attacking each other, with a maximum of 6 members each on one side. Each warrior has a Pokémon and an ability that is unique to the warrior. The Pokémon strength is dependent on the link between the warrior and the Pokémon, which grows with every battle. In this opening battle in particular, we had the help of this mysterious lady whose Jigglypuff just came along and slapped the wits out of the invading Bidoof and Tepig. With her aid, we were able to repel the attacking forces. The lady introduced herself as Oichi, who was more than eager to join the army of fools. Upon accepting her request, the game formally introduced the setting of Ransei. In Ransei, there existed a legend that says if one warrior is able to unite all 17 kingdoms in the region under one banner, the Pokémon that created Ransei shall reveal itself. As a result, countless battles are fought for control of the kingdoms of Ransei. With this rather brief and vague setting, Oichi recommended us to take a look around the kingdom first. This just meant we needed to grind for a bit, really, before finally being prompted to invade the neighboring kingdom, Ignis, who was led by Hideyoshi. Each kingdom has its own battlefields and Pokémon types, and they come with different quirks. Ignis' battlefield, for example, had this flame pillar shooting from the ground, and they changed locations every now and then. Naturally, Ignis Kingdom housed a number of different fire-type Pokémon. In all my life playing turn-based strategy games, I have a habit of letting the enemy come to me first before attacking, so you might see a lot of that here. I waited and allowed Hideyoshi's army to approach before taking out their Pokémon one by one. Being the first major battle, conquering Ignis wasn't difficult, and we were able to claim the castle shortly after. Following Hideyoshi's escape, Oichi stated that she didn't know how to make allies, prompting the appearance of Keiji Maeda, or just Keiji in this game. I'm not quite sure why they all don't have their full names here. The game had another brief tutorial section about recruiting warriors, and we were able to recruit Rikyu here, who had a Darumaka. After gathering a few more allies, we challenged Greenleaf Kingdom's Motonari next, facing a new terrain altogether. Pokémon Conquest features an array of different objectives, like this battle over here. We were supposed to claim all banners on the battlefield to achieve victory, but that didn't really change my strategy. The army of fools claimed 2 banners, and just waited for the enemy to come closer before taking them out. After all the immediate enemies were dealt with, we ganged up on this poor lonesome Sawaddle and introduced them to the afterlife. We claimed the banner after. Motonari was more than graceful after his defeat and left the kingdom of Greenleaf to our care. The march of the army of fools didn't stop there, and they continued to conquer the next kingdom, Fontaine. Motochika led his army to defend, and we met on Fontaine grounds. Fontaine's battlefield featured switchable water gates, which was a bit annoying honestly, but these feeble contraptions weren't enough to stop the might of the fools, and Motochika's Oshawott was bitten to death by these Sewaddle. The rest of his army was also annihilated. Upon conquering Greenleaf and Fontaine, Oichi told us that apparently Ransei was on the brink of destruction. We were then introduced to the main villain of this first story, Nobunaga Oda, or just simply Nobunaga. Ultimately, we had to beat Nobunaga to the unification of Ransei, and that meant we had to conquer the surrounding kingdoms after this, which were Pugilis, Violite, and Chrysalia. At this point in the game, with the addition of the Pokémon types, we had to prepare a lot more before heading into the next battles, and that meant more grinding. We set our sights on the lowest ranked kingdom next, Violite. Violet is led by Ginchiyo, specializing in electric-type Pokémon. She was acting quite high and mighty as we march into her kingdom, something will hopefully turn around after one battle. She got absolutely roasted by her second-in-command though. This battle's objective was to rout the enemy's forces once more, so we used the same tactic. They walked right into their own demise. Our Charmander died in the process, but it's quite alright. Ginchiyo thought she fought valiantly enough to preserve her family's honor, but I thought otherwise. But you know, whatever floats your boat. We snatched her second-in-command Muneshige from right under her nose and continued to conquer all of feudal Japan, Ransei. The 3 Kiddo Stooges came back to give some advice and disappeared yet again. Keiji came back to introduce the concept of linking, a method where we can link with wild Pokémon, adding them to our roster. During grinding, I managed to find Ginchio again and recruited her to the Army of Fools, where she was the first warrior in our army to have her Pokémon evolve. Her Shinx marked the first of many evolutions to come, evolving into a Luxio. And this random warrior's Charmander evolved into a Charmeleon, the same one who failed to stay alive while fighting Ginchio. The next kingdom we took on was Chrysalia, with Yoshimoto as its ruler. The battlefield introduced the concept of weaponized field objects, with these Pokemari balls able to be attacked to deal damage to whoever stands before its path. And the traps too. God, these were annoying. Yoshimoto didn't put up much of a fight, as he and his Pineco fell to the might of the fools. There was also this random professor that showed up out of nowhere, and he honestly wasn't important at all to the plot. The next kingdom to conquer was Pugilus, led by Yoshihiro. Yoshihiro's girder was quite tough in comparison to our army, but the Army of Fools' combined might towers Yoshihiro's army. This battlefield was quite interesting, as the banner objectives all stand in the center of the arena. You can get knocked off the center when hit by an attack, so it made for some quite ridiculous moments. The Army of Fools proved to be too smart for Yoshihiro, however, as we managed to stop them King Leonidas 300 style on this one wide bridge to the center. After that, it was effectively all smooth sailing. After the battle, we had effectively gained control over 7 kingdoms, while Nobunaga had 8. The next 2 warlords standing in our way was Kenshin and Shingen, both renowned for their battle prowess. Upon first look, both their kingdoms' power levels seemed to be way out of our pay grade, so back to grinding we went. I spent the next good chunk of hours just grinding and linking with new Pokemon, trying to increase my army's links. After some major grinding and going through some evolutions, we challenged Eluzio, only to find that Uesugi Kenshin didn't find us worthy enough to challenge him just yet. Instead, he sent Aya, his second in command, to invade the Army of Fools over at Chrysalia. Man, I hate this arena. We bested Aya and emerged victorious and somehow evolved? We attained a new warlord form, seemingly possessing the ability to evolve as well. Once this was over with, we finally challenged Kenshin on the Psychic-type battlefield. This battlefield was quite a pain to traverse, so I took the battle banner by banner. By that, I mean take over one banner and overwhelm the enemy with numbers, dominating every one of Kenshin's Pokemon. Of course, this included his mighty Gallade. It seems that with the capture of Kenshin, Shingen voluntarily offered himself to join our ranks. With that, we gained 2 new powerful allies. In the next set of plot exposition, we were shown the side of Nobunaga and his Pokemon, and it turned out to be a Zekrom. Well, isn't that nice? Also, have you guessed that Oichi was Nobunaga's sister? Oichi told us that we had to conquer Avia, Viperia, Craxper, and Yaksha to proceed. We set our sights on Craxper first, battling Ujiyasu on this boulder-filled battlefield. How the traps operated seemed quite straightforward, and the addition of Gyarados on the team really made the battle quite manageable. We defeated Ujiyasu, and Keiji came to us bearing gifts. He gave us 3 evolution stones, namely the Fire, Water, and Thunderstone. After looking up the viability of the evolutions, I went with Jolteon, evolving the Eevee after a short grinding session. For the first time after grinding for so long, the traveling merchant finally paid us a visit. From what I've read, it seems these traveling merchants only come once during the months of March and September. With the Moonstone acquired, we evolved Oichi's Jigglypuff into a Wigglytuff. At this point in the game, it was quite hard to find a decent grinding spot to increase links. So, after following an advice from a stranger on the internet yet again, I've let Craxper be captured by the enemy, only to take it back. In doing so, I get the chance to face off with opponents stronger than the random warriors I encounter in the territories I already have. We repeated the cycle for a while before finally deciding to capture Viperia. Viperia is headed by Nene, the Golbat-wielding ruler, and to our surprise, we find Hideyoshi yet again serving Nobunaga. This battle was yet another banner battle, and of course, the strategy remained ever the same. With the addition of Kenshin's Gallade, this battle was easily dealt with. I mean, we were over-leveled by quite a bit here, I just really enjoyed the grinding process. With Viperia under our control, we set our sights on Yaksha next, headed by Kotaro, the Dark-type specialist. Yaksha's battlefield design was quite interesting, hosting an elimination-type bout. None of Kotaro's Pokemon really posed a threat to us here, as we slowly but surely chipped away at his army. Kotaro left the scene as he expresses delight at the thought of our battle with Nobunaga. Apparently Craxper was captured once more upon our victory at Yaksha, but that was no problem at all. More EXP for our links. Yeah, so I spent a lot of time grinding with Craxper. Maybe a bit too much. I was also trying to get Kunoichi's Sneasel to evolve, but it just took so long to meet the requirements. I gave up trying to evolve the Sneasel before I moved on, and decided to invade Avia. Avia, the flying-type region, was headed by Masamune. This battlefield hosted quite a labyrinth of floating islands, but that didn't quite change my strategy. I waited on the first island and allowed the enemy to approach me. As expected, they all grouped up nicely and allowed themselves to be annihilated by my strategic genius, my Zhuge Liang level genius. I took my strategic ingenuity to Valora, challenging the Steel-type warlord Ieyasu. This battlefield, among all in Ransei, have got to be my league's favorite. It's difficult to traverse, and one mistake made in placement could change the steel barricades, making it prone to waste turns. As for the army composition, the addition of Yukimura and the return of Rikyu and his Darmanitan made it quite a breeze for us to go through, with the only annoyance coming from the arena itself. Continuing on, we challenged Spectra and its array of ghost types led by Mami No. Kunoichi Sneasel had evolved into a Weevil at this point, so its dark type moves were a huge help. No's battlefield included a lot of these will-o-wisps and moving statues, making it a bit of a hassle to navigate through. As annoying as these were, it was nowhere near Valora's level. None of the Pokémon from No's army really posed a threat, making the invasion of Spectra a rather mundane experience. What had failed in that instance was my plan to recruit Mami No. It was quite heartbreaking to see her go. It seems that as things were progressing, the arenas only got more and more troublesome. We invaded Nixstorm next, challenging the warlord Akechi Mitsuhide and his band of ice types. Thankfully, because this was an elimination type battle, we could employ our grand strategy of waiting at the starting point and letting them all come to us. Like moths to a flame, they fall one by one. Except for this Musharna. I spent the last 5 minutes of the battle going on a wild goose chase just trying to kill this blasted abomination. It was finally cornered and was annihilated. Finally, it was time to challenge Nobunaga over at Dragnor. Dragnor boasted the collection of dragon types, so we placed Aya and her Frostlass in the army and this Walrein. This terrain looked good to wait for the enemy to come to us, and we did just that. Damn it, it didn't work. Reluctantly, we pushed forward, not realizing the traps on the sides. Walrein took massive damage from the traps, as well as getting burned. It took a while for the army of fools to completely nullify Nobunaga's army, with all of Nobunaga's Pokémon being pretty tanky. The Zekrom in particular was really tanky. In the end, despite losing Walrein, we were able to take down the legendary dragon and ended the fight. We witnessed Ray of Lights from all corners of Ransei heading towards Dragnor Tower. We tried to go into the tower, but Oichi had to fulfill her role as the game's absolute hype woman, magnifying the grandeur of the final events. What awaited us on top of the tower was none other than the crater itself, Arceus. Arceus just sort of asked us to link with it immediately, so we tried to do just that. I messed up quite a bit, but we finally managed to link with God itself. And just when I thought it was the end, I was bamboozled yet again. Nobunaga and his army of loyal retainers surged once more, challenging us to a fight, who at this point had control of Arceus. But Nobunaga had a black Rayquaza under his command. My heart was broken once more, seeing how Mami No decided to side with Nobunaga yet again. The army of fools were never in any immediate danger, as we were able to pick off Nobunaga's Pokémon one by one. The battle was brought to a halt as Mitsuhide's Lapras was sent off the face of Ransei by Yoshihiro's Conkeldurr. After winning this fight, we were subjected to even more plot exposition. Oichi asked why her brother was being an absolute ass, to which he responded with the most anime-type story. Throughout the land, warriors fought endless battles driven by the quest for the legendary Pokémon. These conflicts continued for years, and more warriors began to treat their Pokémon, their partners, as little more than tools. Many warriors lost the ability to feel love for their Pokémon. It was for this reason that Nobunaga sought to unite Ransei. If he could prove to all that he was the most powerful warrior in Ransei, then perhaps all the fighting would stop. In short, Nobunaga wasn't a complete ass, just a dude with awkward communication skills with his family. Arceus then said it wouldn't appear again until we're worthy, and disappeared, bringing its holy ass with it. Thus, the story of Fool will then draw to a close, returning everyone's kingdom back to their respective rulers. I had fun, that's the bottom line I drew from this game. And one of the things that we all should take note is that the ending isn't the true ending of the game. The story about the army of fools was just one of many, and they all cover pretty much all the major warlords, if not all. As I'm writing this script, I have just finished Hideyoshi's story, and I can't wait to complete all the other stories as well. The true end of the game lies beyond all these stories, and can only be unlocked after we've finished all the other warlords. Is it grindy? Yes, definitely. But most turn-based strategy games like these are quite grindy, such as Final Fantasy Tactics, Disgaea, Fire Emblem, you name it. But for fans of this genre, Pokémon Conquest is quite enjoyable. In fact, it made me pick up my old Nintendo DS and order the game so I can play it on the actual handheld console. If you're a fan of the spin-off games from Pokémon, I would recommend picking this up. If you're a fan of these type of games, I would definitely recommend picking this up as a time killer. With that, I hope you enjoyed your time here. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.